Hello, everyone. Welcome to ELI, the place where you get your daily dose of inspiration for entrepreneurship. And today we have a new guest, Manoj Adlakha, who is the founder of Red Beryl. And what Red Beryl does is it's a premier luxury lifestyle management company dedicated to curating experiences for India's affluent class. Hi, Manoj. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me here.
To start with, Manoj, I would request you to introduce yourself to the audience, a little bit about your background, what all things you did before starting this Red Beryl, and what was the trigger? Like, why did you choose to go deep into this segment?
Sure. Well, by qualification, actually, I'm a chartered accountant, uh, born and brought up in New Delhi, which is the capital of the country. And I did my chartered accountancy from Ernst & Young way back, and I started working in 1990. My first job was with American Express in strategic planning, and within a year and a half, I moved to Tokyo, which was the head office in the strategic planning department. I spent a couple of years there, came back, and then I was, probably one of the youngest CFOs that American Express ever had. And I did that for about 5 years. But I was always very keen to, while being a finance individual by qualification, like I shared, but I was very keen to get onto the business side of things. And that's when I expressed interest. And American Express was generous enough, our leaders within American Express, to give me that opportunity and give me a shot at running various businesses, which I did from 2000 to 2015. We were a full-fledged, American Express was a full-fledged, retail bank at that point in time. It had personal loans, credit cards, business banking, corporate banking, FX, and everything. It was a great learning for me in those 10, 15 years that I spent at that time. 2015, actually, I left American Express and did a small stint on my own, wherein I set up my own company. And that did not really work out the way I wanted to, but it taught me a lot of lessons. That was my first stint at entrepreneurship. It just lasted about 8 months. It was, totally my own funds, did not raise funds from anyone. And I tried something which was, the lesson learned for me was that you got to always have a plan B in place. And when are faced with failure, it's okay to fail, but you need to learn that you need to, a very simple thing, which is what has helped me in good stead post that, is learn to fail fast and then cut your losses and move on. And, the business model should have been, I think more probably, I'm talking about 15 years ago, should have been tested better by me. It was probably, those are some of the opportunities. And the other thing, which is a big learning at that point in time, was when you fail, all the people who've been around you, and because of the certain position you hold, suddenly disappear. So, those are some of the learnings I had. And then I moved on to Visa in Singapore and back to corporate life. I spent again a couple of years managing the premium portfolio there, managing 11 countries, a big 70 million cards is what, was my portfolio, managing a pretty big portfolio. And it was interesting, developing propositions, working very closely with the banks across about, like I said, 11, 12 countries, including India. And personal reasons, I wanted to come back, and I got a call from American Express whether I'd be interested. And I came back to India. I started off as the country manager for the commercial or the corporate business for India. And then I moved on. They gave me, my two things over here which really helped me was I was very well embedded in terms of what I learned at American Express when it comes to employees, because American Express was and is a very, very employee and customer centric organization. So I learned that piece. I've learned it because 15 years in an organization that you get to know what works and what doesn't. And for me, that value system, which was embedded in me in how to treat employees, helped me in very good stead. And similarly, the customers, because I was dealing with affluence. affluents and super, ultra HNIs and so on, and about creating propositions to them, servicing them, and so on and so forth. So the one thing which was what Visa taught me, my own experience taught me, India was a market where there was a huge opportunity, and that's something which I wanted to, in the 2 3 year break which I had from American Express, because I've had two stints like I shared at American Express. In those 3 years, it taught me that maybe there's an opportunity to further scale up. Scale and relevance play a very big part in the India growth story. And if in India you don't scale up, then there are very few markets where you get this opportunity. So in my second stint at American Express, uh, as an example, the target I was given was if it was, X number of cards in a year, I set an internal target for my team of 4x, 5x. And, we went ahead and achieved that. So with that, as I was performing, more and more responsibilities came my way, more businesses were handed over and given over to me. And from 2014, I think it was, when they made me the CEO for American Express in India, managing all the businesses in India. I was the CEO for American Express for 8 years. And India also had a very big, center. One third of the global workforce for American Express was in India. And, while those people were, primarily, let's say, whether they were doing call center work for other countries outside India, or whether they were doing finance or technology or risk modeling or what have you. They were reporting outside India, but as a senior most individual, was the chairperson of what is called the India leadership team. So, that's one third of the global workforce was in India. That's a very significant number. And as a chairperson, I was really the face of of the company to the media, to the employees, to the regulators, and so on. So I enjoyed that. I thoroughly enjoyed it. During this time, I launched a few premium products. I was interacting with premium customers. And, at some point in time, I thought, I've done what I had to do. And my last year, which was, I think, 2022, I moved with American Express, that was, I moved into an international marketing role that I was responsible for all the countries outside the United States on customer marketing, which was again very, very interesting. Only thing is that it kept me on the road for a very long period of time. And, so if you're traveling 15, 20 days a month, it takes a toll on your body because you're not getting younger. And that's when I decided that, having spent 33 years by then in corporate life, I needed to repivot. I took a little bit of time off, decided what are the next steps, and what I was very clear about is that whatever I do in life, I want to be in India very clearly from a geography viewpoint, personal reasons. Second, I want to be in the luxury segment, and I'll come to that in a moment. And so those are my two parameters, and that's when I started off. This company called Red Beryl Lifestyle Services, which I incorporated sometime a little less than 2 years ago now. And that's how the idea got germinated. And that was because of a couple of problem statements that I felt which existed in the marketplace. And it's been 2 years, but it's been a fantastic journey since.
Got it. Uh, Before we start talking about Red Beryl, let's talk about your target user base or customer base. I think the Indian affluent class is pretty unique compared to rest of the world because, first of all, the percentage in terms of the percentage of affluent class versus whole population is very small compared to even China or any other part of the world where you can compare India. um, the percentage is small. The way they are perceived in society and even governments pose high taxes. Let's say somebody wants to buy a luxury car, the tax is high, very high. So that's kind of the thought process behind the Indian mindset and ideology. The affluent class is paying high taxes. Um Although they use the same facilities, even if you're affluent class, you get to use the same road with the same potholes. I'm just giving a example from a car and driving point of view, but this also works in other sectors as well. So these are all the unique challenges that Indian affluent class has. Can you dive deep into what are the challenges and how do you come in as a service provider? How do you make their life easy? What are the different services that you pitch in?
Sure. Let me take a shot at that. So firstly, when you look at the Indian market, luxury market, that is, and you look at the HNIs, which is the high net worth individuals and ultra high net worth individuals, that market is exploding. It is actually exploding. So let's, different organizations, institutions, consulting firms have defined, the definition of HNI is different. But if you were to take a static, and the static would be where HNI has a disposable income, right? Cash flows, which is, something which is available, and this excludes liquid assets, which excludes real estate, right? Which is disposable and available, whether it's in a current account, savings account, or, at any point in time in mutual funds or what have you, where there's no lock-in period. And you take that to be $1 million and above, which is about 9 crores, right? That number last year, just to put this in some kind of perspective, was 860,000 individuals in India. So that's not a small number, 860,000. But what is more important is that the same studies, whether it's been done by a BCG or a Bain or Deloitte or what have you, they're saying that by 2026, this next year, this number would be 1.7 million.
Mhm.
So that is the
Almost
growth rate.
double.
Absolutely. In 2 years. So 1.7 million individuals will have, and at least 9 crores or 10 crores of disposable income lying with them. And like I said, this excludes real estate. Real estate, as we all know, is a very big chunk of what a person's net worth is. Then, so these are what, let's for a moment call these are the HNIs. So that's each sizable. 1.7 million is 17 lakhs of people. And then there is something called Ultra HNIs, right? So these are HNIs, and then let's take a crack at what Ultra HNIs. Ultra HNIs are those who have a disposable income or liquid assets, right? Just the way we took first, HNIs at $1 million. These are $30 million, close to 300 crores. Now, 300 crores, again, by no, stretch of imagination is a small number. That number last year was 13,000, 13,000, expected by end of next year to go to 20,000. 20,000 individuals will have at least 300 crores with them of liquid assets. Now that's again, think about it, it's a lot. When we look at the number of billionaires in India, right, we are number 3. At some point in time, if you were to backtrack 5 years ago, we were number 8 or 9 in the world pecking order. Now we are number 3, only after US, which is number 1, China number 2, India number 3, and that number is about $280 billionaires, right? Similarly, the number of millionaires, the number of affluent households. So luxury is exploding in India. It's absolutely, the market is really growing at such a rate. No other country, as a matter of fact, in some countries, there's a recession, right? But this top of the pyramid, which we are seeing in India, and when you look at, I just shared some numbers with you, the 20,000 gets, it's a rounding off error in the whole thing. But if you look at the 1.7 million I spoke to you about, that is 0.001% of the population in India. That population today, the good part in India is the GDP is growing at a reasonable. In some countries, it's negative GDP. In some countries, it's 0.5% to 1% to India is one of the, maybe there's one odd country where there's an exception, which also has a very high inflation rate, let's say in Argentina, where GDP could be high. But in India, where the GDP has been consistently growing, yes, we've had years when it was growing at 8 to 10%, but right now it's growing at about 5 to 7%, which also is a very healthy rate, right? Now, with that kind of growth rate that we are seeing in GDP, what is very interesting is that when you look at the private consumption expenditure that is happening in India, 60 to 65% of the GDP is going into private consumption expenditure. Now that is huge. That means just the amount of money which is there for people to consume goods and services and experiences is really increasing year after year. And then when you look at the demographics of the population, in India, right? Now, what is very interesting is the trends have really, turned on their head. Earlier, the people who were within India, right? The rich people were probably in a Delhi and a Mumbai. Then I'm talking about probably 10 years ago. Very soon, a couple of other cities got added on. Chennai got added on. Bangalore, those are the four metros we should talk about. Nobody talks about these four metros anymore. Where is the growth coming from? It's, then maybe 5 years ago, there was something called tier two cities. Then came tier three cities. Now the actual growth is happening in tier three and tier four towns and cities. And it is amazing. It's absolutely amazing what's going on over there. I'm not saying that the growth is not happening in Delhi and Mumbai. Of course it is. But tier three and tier four cities, where there's a desire, there's wealth, there is a desire to consume the best of goods, best of services, have the right kind of lifestyles. That is a new India. That is
Hmm.
the new India. And the second piece on the new India is the demographics, which is in terms of age. In a country where, when you look at today, about 65%, maybe 60%, may not be 65, 60 to 65% of India is below the age of 30, right? Now, when you look at that population, right, no other country has such a young population. When you
Mm-hmm.
look at Japan, on the other hand, it's the other way around,
Okay.
right? So maybe only 25% of the Japanese population is below the age of 30. Now,
Hmm.
with that kind of population, it augurs very well for a country like India. And the good part is a lot of these people have the power. They're going to become the biggest consumers tomorrow. Biggest consumers tomorrow. So when I spoke about the 1.7 million and the 20,000 people, 90% of the total consumption that is happening, 90 to 95% of the consumption that is happening today in luxury goods is happening by these very small set of individuals. So why chase the long tail?
Hmm.
When you can focus in India and get your act together, chasing this particular, top sliver of the pyramid, I think, you'll have a very good and a tangible revenue model to focus on.
Got it. This is very interesting. I have been hearing about this India 3, India 4, tier 3, tier 4 cities for quite some time. They're growing really fast, but I was not aware that even HNIs are also growing there, and it's a different kind of market. They have different needs. They have different priorities to go after, and hence there are different business opportunities that are there to be solved. Like you mentioned, this is a very fast growing segment, almost 50-60% year on year growth. What are the challenges that these people have? What are their pain points that needs to be solved, and which are those challenges you are catering as a company?
Sure. So, the biggest challenge and the reason, and let me just start with that was the genesis of creating Red Beryl Lifestyle Services. Let me start off by very categorically saying it's not a credit card company. We are not a we are not a credit card issuer, right? Neither are we a concierge company. There, initially a lot of people thought, oh, there is another concierge company that has come up. No, not at all. So what are we? We are a lifestyle company. And to my mind, we are the only one of a kind lifestyle company in India. I don't know about overseas, but we have a unique business model. And let me share with you why it is unique. So what we do is under one roof, we provide all the needs of any discerning customer. My TG is very clear, right? We're only focusing on HNIs and Ultra HNIs. We have two card offerings. One is, the red card, and I'll just come to, the word Red Beryl in a moment. Why did we choose and why did we, zero in on the word Red Beryl? So
Right.
the higher end card is the red card, and that's by invitation only. And the lower end card, which is, anyone can apply for that. When I'm saying anyone, of course we do. I mean, people have to, when there is a fee attached to the lower end card, which has a one-time joining fee of 1.5 lakhs, annual fee of 90,000, add to that GST, works out almost 3 lakhs, 2.8 lakhs, which is not a small amount of money. So, I mean, anyone means within the TG, people would be happy because, the value we are providing to them is something no credit card today, there are maybe one or two. which have that kind of pricing. But my lower product offering is something where the first year you have to pay, including GST, about 2.8 lakhs. And on the higher end, on the higher product, including GST, you have to pay about 8.2 lakhs. Now, why would a person be ready to pay this? Because what we have bundled into this product are all the features, all the benefits. People are value seekers. They're looking for good service, absolutely, 100%. You cannot, no customers are very wise. Customers have they have a multitude of choices. They're spoiled for choices. And if you're not going to give them value for money, they're going to go away.
Right.
Right from a decision making, when they're taking a decision whether they should take your card or not. So right from that point in time, you have to, you as in any company, and that's where Red Beryl steps in, we have to show them this is, these are the aspects as a integral part of the value proposition, which are embedded in the card, right? And then the team, which is going to provide and execute on the service pillars, which is a key tenet of what we do. So the foundation has to be very strong in terms of a strong value proposition, and then backed by a very strong execution arm, which is our service people. Now, when I talk about value, the value comes through across various pillars. So I can go on and on, but I'll just probably, there are 14 pillars actually. I'll talk about 3 or 4 of them.
Sure.
One is when any Red Beryl member, we have a tie with almost every leading hotel in India, name the Taj, all the Taj properties, right from the main Taj hotels to the Vivantas to the Taj Selects. We have a tie with Claridge's, as you know, Claridge's now is an integral part of Taj. It's called the Claridge's Collection. And when I'm saying we have a tie, means just as an example, if there is a Taj property any of our members want to go to, this standard 20% off on what is called best available rate, which is the lowest rate which the hotel will anyway offer, but a Red Beryl member will get 20% off lower than that, or 20% lower than the best available rate, right? Then on top of that, any restaurant, and on an average, any Taj itself has I think about 450 odd hotels in India and overseas, and this offering that I just mentioned is available to our customers not only in India. I'm just taking one property. I'm not going beyond that, but I can talk. We have the same association with the Oberois, with the Leela, with Sheraton and so on. So we cover all the hotels, but I'm just taking one particular property over here, which is Taj, and I'm just focusing or zeroing in on that. Now with Taj, the 450 odd hotels, when you look at on an average, any hotel has 3 to 4 restaurants and coffee shop. One coffee shop plus maybe 2 to 3, standalone restaurants within the hotel. So if you multiply that, that means about 1,400 approximately, give or take a few, would be the restaurants within the Taj properties within India and across India. Now, at each one of these properties, there's a flat 20% off on food and beverages, including alcoholic beverages. And there's no limit in terms of the number of times you'd want to go there. Yes, there are 1 or 2 exceptions, which are, in the, exclusion clause, but I would say 96-97% of the restaurants are covered. So, and then on spas, wherever there's a spa facility, which almost all these hotels have that, there is again a flat 20% off. These get really, the value gets significantly added on. So that's just one. And like this, like I said, there are many other hotels. So this is one, which is the hotel pillar or a, lodging pillar. Like this, we have a tie with about 300-400 restaurants, which are leading restaurants in India, standalone restaurants outside these hotels, where we have a concept called Dine and Dine Free. So if 2 people go, it's 50% off. So 1 person gets to eat free. If 3 go, it's 33% off, and so on and so forth. Then within that 350 odd restaurants, which I just spoke about, we have at least, I think, about 30 to 35 restaurants, wherein we have a concept where every quarter you get meals worth, at a consolidated basis, worth 40 to 45,000 rupees worth of free meals, no questions asked. Now that's significant value back to the customer. So that is, now I've just spoken about 2 pillars. I've spoken about a lodging pillar. I've spoken about a dining pillar. Then let's talk about a lot of our customers are frequent travelers. Within my team, I have a team of 52 people within India. right? Now, these 52 employees of ours, they're broken between acquisition, servicing, because every customer of ours has a dedicated lifestyle manager, right? And then we also have within this team, we have about 10 people, 10 employees who are hardcore with hardcore experience of travel. They come in with 10 to 15 years of travel experience. And that's a travel desk. So any travel itinerary, and this is not your typical, let's say from Delhi or a Bombay to a Dubai or Delhi to a, London. The kind of itineraries that these people are asked by our customers to curate, whether it's a safari, whether it's, they want something which is, out of the ordinary, something
Mm.
which has not been done before. And that is, we are seeing that as an emerging trend post-COVID, where a lot of people
Right.
want to experience something which is very different, which, earlier it used to be the Norwegian lights. Now, that is also, if you ask me, a bit passé. There
Mm-hmm.
are lots and lots of new experiences. India is being discovered like never before.
Yes.
Religious travel, the amount of people who are doing spiritual travel within India is, so I can just go on like this. So we have a 10-member team doing, literally on a weekly basis, they manage about 50 to 60 queries and complete those queries. And we
Mm-hmm.
provide the best rates and best choices. We let the customer decide. Then another pillar is all to do with, sporting events and concerts.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we know, right now there's IPL going on. Before that, there was Champions Trophy, which happened, in Dubai last month probably, and before that, there were a couple of concerts, very popular concerts, whether it was
Yes.
Coldplay, some of the Indian artists like Arijit Singh, Diljit Singh, and so on and so forth, Taylor Swift. Wimbledon people are already booking tickets. F1 is a big phenomenon. Amount of people who are now, when football season comes, the EPL and all, the amount of people who want to book tickets through us. And from the time of inception to now, there is not one ticket where a customer has had an experience wherein he or she has bought the ticket and the ticket turned out to be non-authentic. Because one of
Mm-hmm.
the things where we take a lot of pride in is, and we know there is, a little bit of, there could be a scenario wherein some customers buy some tickets from some sites or somewhere where those could go wrong. And then imagine they plan the whole holiday around that thing.
Right.
And, suddenly they realize that they end up ending up with a fake ticket or which is not right, right? So when we've sold thousands of tickets, not one ticket where there's been a problem, not one. And because we have a very, very set of, reliable and verified vendors that we choose from. And then we give experiences. There's some experiences where we are very upfront. If somebody wants to say, okay, there's an IPL match which is happening between RCB and CSK. I want to meet Virat Kohli. Now, we're going to say no. Our teams are trained. They know what can happen because there are BCCI rules around it. If Kohli is a player, Virat Kohli, and who's playing the IPL, he's not allowed during this time to meet spectators.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, we have done it. We did something very recently where there was a session with a Steffi Graf or a Sachin Tendulkar or yesteryear players Wasim Akram. Those kind of interactions. The people who want to meet players when they go to and it's off season, they want to meet a Messi or they want to. There's a little bit of a charge, of course, as long as the customers are willing to pay. But those are the experiences which customers are looking for. So that's on the sporting and concert pillar. And I'll just speak about just maybe one or two pillars. There's another unique pillar which nobody in India has. And, I can say that having been in the car industry myself for 30 years, look and have a very good idea about what competition does. That's what is called the social clubs. We have access, we have a tie-up wherein we provide access to 3,000 social and golf clubs. Now, social, golf, and private clubs. Now, that's a huge number which are globally available. Now, whether you're in India, whether you're in Bombay, whether within India, whether you're in Bombay, Hyderabad, Bangalore, Ahmedabad, it doesn't matter. You'll get access to the top clubs. So you don't need to be a member. So if you're in Bombay, you can go to a Jolie's, you can go to a Khana, you can go to Wellington. If you're in Delhi, you can go to Western Club, Defense Colony Club, and Ananiketan Club. These are all posh clubs and otherwise you'd end up paying quite a if you're in Dubai, you go to the Dubai Art Club. If in London, there's about 8 to 9 clubs. In New York, every city there are clubs. And the good part is if you have unfettered access to these clubs without taking up membership of these clubs, why would you not? Now we've just done a strategic tie-up, and this list of clubs keeps increasing. There's a particular club called the Demand Club, which is just come up right now only in Delhi, and they're expanding in other countries. But Red Beryl members, the red within the Red Beryl, we have red and black. Like I said, the higher end category is the red. They would get access to on a limited basis, though. I mean, I think it's 4 or 6 times a month. But that's enough. Nobody would go more than that. But that's a lot. It's such a beautiful club, fantastic job done by the owners of that club. With the membership, otherwise could be 7 to 8 lakhs, and they are very, very particular and finicky and choosy about who gets into that club. It has got all the amenities you could think of. It's got therapies, 12 to 13 different therapies. It's got the spas. It's got Olympic-sized pool. People can do events over there, and it's got restaurants and bars, and it's got a gym which is I think 18 hours a day with an AQI of 7. It's got the only Turkish bath available in India. So those are the kind of experiences people love, and it's right next to the Prime Minister's house or office or whatever at the Ashoka Hotel. So our members get access to that. Do they have to pay anything extra for that? The answer is no. Like this, Quorum is another club. So we can, there's limited access for the first 6 months, but all those terms and conditions are very categorically laid down. And then a lot of travelers, when people travel, when they make the bookings through us, they want to travel, we also give them something called meet and assist. Now, people want to make their lives easier, right? And for that, let's say if I'm going from here to Dubai, a lot of our members, they either go to, they travel to Dubai, they travel to London, they travel to the US, they travel to Singapore, Hong Kong, and all, wherever you go. Now, domestically also people travel. They could be traveling from a Delhi to Bombay or a Bombay to a Bangalore or what have you. So once a month, you get an international meet and assist at a international, and once a month domestic for you and your add-on card, right? Which is all bundled in terms of pricing anyway. So it's huge value for money. In London alone, for 2 people that service, not that anyone is going to go once every month, but if you're allowed to, at our cost. I mean, you don't as a member have to pay, but that costs about 75,000 rupees for 2. That means if somebody was to utilize this every month in the year, 9 lakhs worth of free benefits come their way, right? And just through that one little service. And then if you decide to do a Delhi Mumbai, again, for 2 people, that's about 10,000 rupees. That's another
Yes.
1,20,000. I'm just giving you small examples here, and I'm not even shared with you the free meals, which is another 1,80,000 a year. So it just keeps adding. Nobody else gives this kind of value, right? And Concierge is there. Concierge for me is nothing but a fulfillment channel. Just the way we have relationship managers who are there Monday through Saturday, 9 to 7. They are providing, they're the first call to action, right? I mean, it's there on speed dials for all our members. And it's a fantastic set of people that we have, very experienced, and they can answer any query. We will never, ever get them to start interacting with the customer till the time they've gone through a certification process, which typically takes 60 days. It's a very rigorous certification process that we do. Only once they're certified would they start interacting with the customer. The same thing holds for a salesperson till the time they've gone through a very rigorous process and fully certified would they start to acquire new customers. And Concierge is something which is totally outsourced for us, and that works 24/7 across about 45 countries. And the beauty over there is a lot of they're experts in what they do. They really know their marbles, and a lot of things which they have a tab with, as an example, 1,800 Michelin star restaurants where we get preferred booking. Right, there are a lot of requests. I'll give you 1 or 2 examples. There was a very recent request. I think it happened not very recent, maybe 3, 4 months ago. by one member who wanted to get married, under the Great Wall of China. Now, I
Wow.
mean, the first, oh God, that's so difficult, but we got it executed. Then there was another member last year, late last year, and I think on an average in a month, we get about 20, 25 requests, this is not about flower delivery, wine delivery. Those are cake delivery. Those are typical 101s. Those happen. These are the one-off requests. And as long as it's not illegal, immoral, unethical, we make it happen. That's our job, right?
Mm.
We endeavor to make it happen. And in 99% of the cases, whatever I've seen, we have made it happen. So another example I'll give you, there was one customer, who we never named the customers for confidentiality purposes. And the customer said that, he was looking for a 1965 Ford Mustang because he's, a highly networked customer and is a vintage car collector. But he said, the 3 years I've been struggling, you guys are he actually challenged us in a way. And he said, you guys make such tall promises. But, I had 3 years, I've leveraged my network, I've leveraged, company X, company Y, whichever card companies he was, working with, or I mean, had a card with, and he said, nobody's been able to get me this.
Mm.
So now we did not promise. We took his request on board. We passed it on to our concierge company. Now, just think about it. 1965 Ford Mustang is a 60-year-old car. It would not be, advertised in any newspaper or on any, website.
Right.
So what the concierge uh, team did was a smart thing. They got in touch with where they thought it would be, the easiest to actually procure this. They went into and they established contact with the Raja Maharajas in Udaipur, Jodhpur, Jaisalmer, a couple of Udaipur and all these places. And it took them 72 hours to actually find the car. They got that, the owner of that car to, have a word with our member who was very keen, and there was a handshake, and the transaction took place.
Mm-hmm.
And this person was super delighted, super delighted. So that is where you make moments of truth come true. And life is changing, just it's no longer about material goods. People are looking for experiences.
Right.
People are looking for, I mean, the last piece I want to add over here is, when there was, I mean, a survey I read, which was carried out by one of the leading banks, which is HSBC. They carried out a on their wealth management base, they carried out a survey. And they asked these people, this is a 2024 survey, which was not that dated, right? So it's only about 3, 4 months ago that was the survey. And very interesting, the question, which was very simple, was that in what when you look at a luxury expenditure, what do you spend it on?
Mm.
And the answer was 56% of the people said we spend it on goods, right? And 44% of the people said we want to spend it or we spend it on experiences. That is the way the world is. So it's all about experiences. People are, maybe I don't know, it's COVID or otherwise, but people are saying, you know what, life is short. Let's experience it with our loved ones. Let's build memories. Let's build moments. That is what is happening, and that is where we step in. We have a very interesting concept called Dream Weavers, where when a customer is onboarded, we ask them, okay, what's your bucket list? Right?
Mm.
So we are not here, we don't work on a reactive basis. We work on a proactive basis. And as a proactive, we say, okay, what would be the 5, 8 things by the end of the year? You tell us, what you did the right or you made the right decision by taking a car.
Mm.
And it's our job of, the experts who are within my team to make sure that, we preempt it. It could be some very small stuff, some big stuff, whichever way, but overall keep engaging with the customer because that's how you're going to win the customer's loyalty. And that is how today it's been 20 months since the company's launched. I've not spent a single dollar on marketing. Zero.
Mm-hmm.
Because this business or referrals, if a customer is satisfied with you, he or she is going to refer that to another person within his area of influence or circle of influence. And that's what we want. We want we want the right-minded people, like-minded, people of a certain stature who would be a part of this organization, who we'd love to serve to the to their fullest, desire.
Curious to understand one thing, like you mentioned, you did not spend much on marketing, and this is a segment which where marketing is not this. Marketing doesn't work the same way as it does to other categories. Word of mouth has a lot of impact, and it's a close community. People speak to each other, refer companies to each other, but it is a challenge when you start out new and you are a new company. How did you onboard the first set of customers? Because you don't have any testimonials to show, you don't have active customers who can refer you to others. How did you get started? It's a tricky thing.
So, if I got your question right, how did we get started?
Yes, you mentioned that lot of customers you come to you through referrals to word of mouth, but when you don't have any customer, you have zero customer, then there is no word of mouth, right? So how did you get the first customer, first 10 customers, and first 100
Yeah,
customers?
absolutely. I think that's again a very fair question. So we started sometime in July, August of 2023, which is almost 2 years ago, and we are in April of 25 now. So when we started with an event that we did in the city of Gurgaon. It was at the Opera Hotel, and uh, it was a black tie event. And what we did was where I was very keen on making it exclusive, very, very exclusive. So only the top 250 Ultra HNIs were invited for that event, totally exclusively, for them. And I got for that event the key. I mean, a person who won 7 Grammy Awards. I flew him in from LA, and he's a part of a band. I don't know whether you heard of them, called Police,
Mm-hmm.
right? So his name is Stuart Copeland, and he used to, he was a drummer for them, and he used to drum along with Sting for last 20 years. So he's won 7 Grammys, and alongside him, I also requested another gentleman who had won 3 Grammys, a guy called Ricky Cage,
Mm-hmm.
who's uh, actually an Indian. So, but he had won 3 Grammys, and first time on Indian soil they performed together, where Stuart Copeland was on the drums and Ricky was singing. It was a pulsating performance of 90 minutes, and with 10. So first time ever, can you imagine, where two people are performing, and between the two of them, they won 10 Grammy Awards, right? So that was, and we got a lot of coverage in the following, week or 2 or 3 post that, okay, there's something, there's a new kid on the block called Red Beryl, right? And what are they about? So it created intrigue, it created, in the right audience, right? It created, okay, what is this product about? So that word of mouth had started from that time. And it was the first set of customers that we brought on books at that point in time, who then started the whole journey for us to add on more and more. We started with a 3-member team, and we started only in Delhi and Bombay. Today we are in 12 cities, and we are a 52 or a 54-member team.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
And we do leverage, things like Insta. I mean, that is something which keeps going on and on. Every time there's a new announcement, it's all organic. It gets posted. We had an announcement, I think about 4 or 5 days ago, where we tied up a strategic alliance with Tata CLiQ Luxury. Now, on our Insta handle, we've got about 800,000 viewers who have looked at that. 800,000 people have looked at that particular post. So this is creating brand awareness,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's just an announcement over there that, Tata CLiQ Luxury, there was a small video, their CEO and myself shaking hands, talking about what this brand is going to do. So like this, I think about 3 months ago, we had tied up with a company called Kirchhofer. Now, a lot of people in India have not heard of it, but just again, experience, this is where experience comes in. Uh, uh, Experiences, sorry, come in, wherein this is the highest, and when I'm saying highest, as in terms of altitude, uh, It's at the highest vantage point in the Swiss Alps. It's the highest luxury retail outlet where they sell watches, they sell jewelry, they sell, outfits, they
Mm-hmm.
sell, shoes and, women purses and so on. And to reach that place, basically audience for them and basic TG for them is, the royal families and as you know, Switzerland is the home for the best watches, right? So they have a plethora of watches. But to reach to that outlet, which is, like I said, the highest luxury outlet in the world, you actually have to, from the base, you have to take a chopper or a helicopter and then land at the helipad, which is right outside their, outlet. And then it's a beautiful outlet. I haven't been there, but I've seen pictures of it. And when you're at that outlet, you know, behind that, it's all windows and you can see snow-laden mountains. So it's an experience in itself. And,
Right.
the good part is the strategic tie-up. We wherever we can add value and show value to our customers, we do that. So in this case, they get a very decent discount. Plus, they don't have to pay for that chopper, which otherwise also adds up, from the base camp to up there and back. So those are the kind of things which we do. Now, another piece which I totally forgot, which is really picking up big time in India, is wellness,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, whether it's about mental well-being or otherwise physical well-being, we have tied up with at least 6 or 7 of these leading wellness centers where customers are ready. They want to invest in their future, in their well-being, spiritual, mental, emotional, all of that, and they're ready to pay for that. And these are high-end, and that's something, if you can, if something costs, a service costs 5, 7 lakhs and you can give them 20% off, suddenly, it adds value to that, right? So that's the kind of stuff. And that's where I started to say that we are very different. So no concierge company in India does this, by the way. Whatever deals I just spoke about, no concierge company today provides those deals. When I speak about card companies, no credit card company has all these offerings under one roof, whatever I've just shared with you. So, I mean, as one probably last example I'm going to give you regarding the features on the card, we also keep doing, and this keeps evolving, right? We realized in India, and this we take a lot of feedback from our customers. So there was a customer, I think about 6, 8 months ago, who got in touch with us, and they start trusting you fully, and they want you to do everything under one roof. So they said, my son or daughter, I forget, is getting married. Can you help us with that? And we did not have the expertise. And that time we said, oh, you know what, we're missing out on a big vertical. And I did a little bit of research and I figured out, you won't believe it, but in India, the number of, these are reported numbers, okay? The number of reported marriages that happen every month is 1 million,
Wow.
okay? 1 million marriages happen in India on a monthly basis. The marriage industry, the wedding industry in India is $130 billion. And one wedding doesn't mean one function. Typically, we all know one wedding in India because,
Yes.
as they call it, the big fat Indian wedding is 3 or 4 functions,
Yes.
right? So it's a huge thing. And then we got into that. So we've got a separate property which we call Wed with Red. And a lot of people now are availing those services where we're giving them options and opportunities. Okay, you know what? End-to-end wedding is something we can help you with. And we get parties together, right? Wherever we don't have the expertise, we get the experts to them. Sometimes it could be a very small request, but we are there for our customer. It could be get me a nanny, we'll get you a nanny. That's what the concierge will do for us. It could be a lot of people bought pets during COVID. We help them, with the pets as an example, when they're going on a holiday, okay, how does one take care of the pets? Anything and everything, like I said, as long as not illegal, immoral, unethical, we're there to help them. And that's so we become another person went, and this person had, I think this was again probably a little dated 6, 8 months ago. He or she was traveling to London, and somebody, pickpocketed this thing, and his whatever bag he was holding, the pouch, lost his passport,
Mm-hmm.
right? And decided to call us up. And we managed, leveraging our connects, contacts in all the right way, reached out to the consulate and got him a replacement. And he's so thankful to us for that. So,
Wow.
wherever we can help, we don't guarantee it, but wherever we can help, we are there. That's what we are there for our customers. And that is what, creates, some kind of I would think, a stickiness to the product or the service that we offer.
Hmm. I think these Ultra HNIs are quite used to having their right hand man, or what you call the go-to man for any job that is outside the expertise of them, or there is no one who can do this. So I think Red Beryl is that kind of a company which will get things
Absolutely.
done for you. Uh,
Absolutely.
Having said that, I think I'm at my final question, and then we'll wrap up. What's the meaning behind the name Red Beryl? Can you give us some context around that?
The meaning behind the word red beryl.
Yes. I mean,
Okay,
why
so
did you choose this name?
yeah, so we got inspired by the word red beryl because if you were ever to Google it, it stands for the most precious gem on the planet, rarest of rare gems on the planet.
Hmm.
It's far more rare than diamonds and gold and any other stone that you get, and it's found in Utah in Salt Lake City.
Hmm.
And so that was the inspiration. So it was not about expensive. It was not about, you get emeralds, you get everything. But this stone is the rarest of rare stones. And that is what gave me the inspiration to create. I like the ring, or the word red beryl, the way nobody had used this word ever. And I like the ring to it. And it's like I said, Red Beryl Lifestyle Services. And so that was the inspiration that why don't we create something which is unique, something which is, where people don't get this ordinarily, right? Our Red membership is strictly by invitation. It is something we will, everything I personally sign off for somebody
Hmm.
to become a Red member. They do not otherwise become, and it's okay. Sometimes it's okay to say no to business. I have no
Hmm.
problem. There's a long runway. Like I shared with you, if they're, close to, almost 2 million, people with that kind
Yeah.
of money, it's okay. I mean, they'll come at some point in time and they're ready to come, but we send it by invitation. And if there's some people who themselves, there's a set of customers we have already, sent out invites to. And from there, I'm not saying everyone would apply because a lot of people, whoever desires to apply, those are default, they'll come into the franchise. But on the other hand, there could be people who apply for the red, right, on their
Hmm.
own, that I go through it in terms of profiling and making sure that, they fit into the scheme of things from the kind of individuals we would like, right? That's for the red product. Black, I'm okay with, getting, people who are ready to pay for that product. That's the way we do the distinction between a red and a black. And the last piece, is that we give a lot of flexibility and choice. Just the way we give flexibility in terms of, you know, the channels through which they can communicate with us, whether it's, they want to use a relationship, what we call a luxury lifestyle manager, whether it is an app, state of the art app, a lot of people, everyone has it, 90% of them have downloaded it, but they prefer to use and they prefer to speak to a
Hmm.
manager, a luxury lifestyle manager. There is a microsite and there is a 24/7 concierge. So we give them choice, whatever. Similarly, we give them payment option because we send them a payment link and at the back end, it's powered by a payment gateway. And we say, okay, would you want to pay by any of the credit cards, all the credit cards, whether it's Visa, Master, American Express, RuPay. Similarly, all the debit cards, they have an option, just the way it would appear in any regular website. It appears, all the logos come up. They want to pay by check, they want to pay by NEFT, by RTGS, by UPI, cash up to 2 lakhs, as the government allows. So anything, whatever is legal, they have, but the flexibility is being provided to the customers to pay the way they would like to.
Got it. Just one follow-up question. I am very curious to understand about the Red membership, where you personally sign off the invites because you want only a certain type of users, because everybody has money in the target user base that you are targeting, but still you are profiling them. You want a certain type of customer inside that whole pool. What is that like? What criteria do you
Yeah,
see?
sure. See, I mean, it's at the end of the day, we want like-minded people. It's a community. It's a community, right? We want them to be a part of the community. It's, just because somebody is moneyed and has a lot of money, doesn't mean that, we want them also to get full value out of the product,
Mm,
right? If they really appreciate luxury, it has to be a win-win. We don't want a scenario just to get their 5 or 7 lakhs of rupees. They could get into the franchise, and after a while they feel that, you know what, I've taken this product, but, there was nothing in it for me. So we want them, and that is where a little bit of testing is done. Do they Will they actually use our services? Will they travel? Right? Will they go to restaurants, these fine dine restaurants? Will they go to these clubs? Will they want these experiences we're talking about? So, will they play to and complement the strengths on which this model is built? So, it's a win win that way, right? And otherwise, just I really don't want people who are going to take the car for whatever it's worth and just keep it in the wallet. It doesn't make sense for me.
mhm. Got it. Well, on this note, I think we're at the end of the session. Thanks for joining us, Manoj, and for giving us a sneak peek into the world of HNIs. I think there is a lot of opportunities for other entrepreneurs out there. They have a lot of problems to be solved because the problems for India B, India C, or you call it India 2, India 3, they're being solved by other entrepreneurs, other founders out there. But still, HNIs are a bit underserved category, expanding very fast. And it's simply a gold mine for entrepreneurs. Thanks again for joining and pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on your show. Thank you.